Welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
Tonight we're talking about Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 9, Episode number 4. This is Karen versus everyone, drunk calls, and more. So this was an interesting episode.
This certainly was.
I am liking Potomac this season. I really am.
Me too.
I really am. We start out with Karen and me are talking about the DUI. And Karen is saying that she can't talk about it until it's settled. And this is where I'll find out who my real friends are, which, they call Stacey to see where she's at, and she doesn't answer. Mia says to Karen in the car that Stacey is not interesting. And then we see in the other car is Jazzy, Kiarna, and Ashley. And they're talking about their relationships, like with their men. Kiarna's man is Greg, and I didn't know he did mental health services.
No, me neither.
And
we only saw him a little bit, right? When her mom was there pressing her about getting married.
Yes.
Is that her?
Yes.
Or was that Jassy? Yeah, I'm getting confused. I'm not going to lie. I'm getting confused between the two of them.
I am also. And sometimes I have to rewind to see if they put their name up and they don't. So I'm not 100% sure. Wait. Well, then she also went on to say that she has her own med spa that kind of runs itself. Who has the med spa? Is that Jassy?
I think that's
or Kiarna. Okay,
yeah, because I think that's how we met her. I think Wendy brought her in because Wendy went to her med spa.
Yes. Now it's clicking. Yes. So
with Candace, they went and had like cocktails with Candace.
That's right. And it was like down the street from something. Yes. Okay. So yes, it was definitely Kiarna. So then in the other car is Wendy, Giselle, and Jacqueline. Wendy asks Giselle if she's resolved her issues yet with Karen. And she says she hasn't, that she does want to have a talk with her. And Wendy says, maybe you could do it, before my birthday. So get this resolved today.
I love that this is Mia's trip, but Wendy if she cannot say enough that it is her birthday, and I like Wendy, so I will let it slide.
It's so funny.
A little Heather Dubrow-ish.
Well, honestly, it's a little Karen-ish because then,
That's true. That's true.
We'll talk about that, but it's like, come on. Yeah. So the ladies all get to the place in Lake Norman, and Mia announces that Lake Norman is a very special place to her, because her and Ink got their first place together there when they were young. He got a job at another radio station, so they moved to, I guess, Lake Norman, and they moved in together there. We didn't know anything about that.
No. Did she go into detail about like why they never got married?
No. I think we're just going to find this out in dribs and drabs.
Yeah,
That's how I feel at this point.
It's just interesting. Like I hope we find out. If this is her high school sweetheart and then they went and got a place together, like I hope we find out what happened that led her to, not marry him and marry somebody else.
Right. I agree. And then they walk inside and the greeter greets them as welcome to Mia's Manor, which I thought was interesting. I also thought it was interesting that they each had their own person, like their own little concierge.
It was very Sex in the City too movie, where they all had their own butlers in where'd they go? Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi. Yes, I like that. I would like my own little.
I really liked it. Mia done good.
Yeah. So the ladies start to go to their rooms, and Giselle and Karen have their own room, and they have their own sinks in their rooms, but they have to share a shower and a toilet.
Did Karen not overreact to that shit?
100%. Like,
she's starting to annoy me, quite honestly.
It made no sense.
No, that was absolutely ridiculous, the way she responded to having to share a toilet with Giselle.
I know.
Like, I'm sorry. That was ridiculous. And then something else that happens along the line in the episode. It was like, all right, bitch, you're not Michelle Obama. All right.
Listen, everyone poops. It's
okay. Exactly.
I mean, I don't
all
know.
Shit.
Yeah. Exactly. Then Mia puts Stacey and Kiarna in the bunk bedroom.
Stacey was so excited.
I give her 5 stars for that. Stacey was such a breath of fresh air. So excited. Never slept in a bunk bed. Always wanted one. I was like, wow, good for her.
Yeah.
She she didn't really, Kiarna, but she was excited to get to know her in this, bunk room.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I would like to see.
Yeah. No, Stacey was great, but Kiarna didn't mind, right?
I mean, she minded less when Stacey jumped on board and was so excited about it. I think she was a little like, but then when Stacey was so excited about it, how could she not be excited about it? Right?
Like, let's go.
Right. And then Wendy gets to her room and it's all decorated for her 40th birthday. And Karen's like throwing a fit about that. Like, they never decorated my birthday, and we've always had such a bad time with my birthday, and now we're going to throw what? Like, what? Why are you making this about yourself?
You know what? Karen's getting that Teresa, Vicky, Nene vibe where she thinks she is the show.
Yeah.
It's not going to be well received because it's just not well received. People can say what they want. These are ensemble casts. Everyone equally contributes the same.
Mm-hmm.
Some might stand out more than others, but if I'm starting to like Giselle, Karen is doing something wrong. And I'm starting to like Giselle.
And the interesting thing to me is, who else's birthday have they really celebrated? I mean, it's Karen's every year.
Exactly. It is Karen's every year.
Like, I don't think have we ever celebrated Giselle's birthday?
I don't think so.
Or Ashley's? I feel like we've only celebrated Karen's every year.
And it's always Giselle throwing something for her.
And she's complaining about it.
Right.
I just can't with her.
She's too much. She was too much this episode.
She really was. Ashley's room is on the first floor so that she can go outside and do her yoga in the morning and her little tiki-talks, they said, which is good.
Does she do TikToks?
Oh, yeah. Ashley does TikTok dances all the time.
She doesn't come up on our feed in TikTok.
We may not follow her. I mean, I see her.
Start.
Yeah, we should follow her. And Mia and Jacqueline are sharing a room, and there's a lot of buzz about that. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, the one time they were on vacation, weren't they like showering together?
Yeah, that Giselle pointed out.
Yeah.
But I mean, why? Like, who cares? They're adults.
Exactly. Do you.
Right. So then they all go downstairs and they start eating, and they had this great buffet of food set out for them. Stacey shows up and she says, I've traveled extensively all over the world with my soon-to-be ex-husband. And this is the first time I've traveled alone on a girls' trip. Like, she's never been on a girls' trip, which I thought that was interesting, right?
That is interesting, yeah.
Also, Giselle announces that in the early morning, she has to leave to go back because Angel and Adore have some cap and gown ceremony. I guess that's not a graduation. I don't really know what a cap and gown ceremony is.
I've heard of it, but I don't exactly know what it is. We'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I guess we will look it up.
I have definitely heard of it, but I don't think it's anything our kids have done.
Yeah, I had never heard of it before. Yeah. So she's flying out and then going to go to the ceremony and then fly back the next day, which I will say that's a big commitment.
That's commitment, yeah.
Right? I mean, then it comes up about Jacqueline announces at the table that she doesn't want to be known as Mia's sidekick. I mean, you are sharing a room with her, and
she brought you on the show.
And she says that she is the main course. She's a mom. She has a job. And then all of a sudden, when Jassy comes in and says that she's Mia's new sidekick, all of a sudden, Jacqueline's like, maybe not so good. Because she said, Jacqueline, you have nothing to worry about. I'm going to be your new sidekick.
Which is a little weird.
It is a little weird, I think, but now Jacqueline wants to be the sidekick now that
exactly.
Jassy wants it.
Yeah. She might not want it, but she don't want anybody else to have it either, so she'll take it back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, but what are you fighting over?
Mia. They're fighting over Mia.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. I will never fight over being someone's sidekick.
No.
So they find out they're all going to be going on a boat, and she tells them to dress for dinner because as soon as they get back from the boat, they're going to be having dinner at the house, and she has some of her friends coming over. I think this is a little odd to go out on a boat dressed for dinner because we know we've been on boats. Your hair gets blown all over the place. I mean, there's usually humidity involved. It's just not dinner attire.
It was like a pontoon boat, and they don't go fast, but still, like you said, there's humidity on the water. There's water spritzing up.
Right.
These ladies take good care of themselves, and they put a lot of effort into the way they look, especially when they're on camera.
Right.
Like, who wants to get on a boat? Unless the boat was taking you to dinner.
Exactly.
It
Exactly.
wasn't.
No, I thought that was a little odd.
Agree.
So then Karen and Jacqueline, so they get back from the boat ride, and the table is set beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
And the guest arrived shortly after that. And Mia announces the first girl was there that set it all up for her. I don't know if I wrote down her name.
Do you think when these ladies host these girls' weekends or whatever, girls' getaways, like, do you think Mia did the planning for that, or do you think production did?
Uh,
Like,
I
I mean,
think
like
it,
setting up the dinners and getting the boat ride. Like, did Mia make those phone calls, or even if Mia has an assistant, are they doing this? Are they actually planning this, or is production planning it? And it's like, oh, it's Mia's trip.
I think it's more production is planning it and it's
Me
Mia's
too.
trip. But when she's bringing in friends like that to like help set it up and then to join the dinner, maybe it's like a collab. Like, okay, well,
Right,
we're going to be someplace where I have some friends. Let's bring in some guests
right,
and
right,
they can help, Wendy celebrate her birthday. So there's more than just us there.
right.
So, I mean, that's kind of what I think. But no, I don't think that because listen, even if they are arranging the boat, even if she was arranging the boat ride, production still has to go get clearance from everybody, right? Well, maybe they sit down and talk about what you want to do, or maybe production says this is what we're doing. But it did look like a very nice setup.
Yeah, yeah. The table was beautiful.
So Karen and Jacqueline, they sit down at the table and they're fighting at the table. I mean, they just got back and they're already fighting at the table. Karen says Jacqueline lied on her and she was not drunk when she spoke to her, referring to what happened at the birthday tea party. She had said that before Karen arrived because Mia blurted it out. It wasn't even
Right.
Jacqueline's idea to say it. And Jacqueline's like, no,
I think that Jacqueline does a very good job of handling herself. Like, I know we'll get there. I know she got upset, but I think that Jacqueline genuinely is a nice person and a good person. And I think that when she's faced with something, I think she handles it.
I do too. No, I do too. I do too. So then Stacey and Karen are sitting down and they're talking and talking, and Stacey confides to Karen that the closer that she gets into the mediation with her soon-to-be ex-husband, the more nervous that she gets. And I think it was all the ladies were at the table at that point, or was it just her and Karen?
I think it was all of them.
Okay, so she's very worried about telling Arabella because they've not told her yet, and that's her biggest concern. And I think it was just her and Karen, because then I have Karen tell Stacey that, she wants to be honest with her and that she's gotten some feedback from the girls. It was
That's
just
right.
that, yeah, it was
Yes, it
just
was
her.
just them. Yes.
And that, Stacey's like, well, what's the feedback? And Karen says, well, you're boring. So here Stacey is opening up to Karen about how she's, a little bit anxious about the separation and the actual divorce
Right.
and telling her daughter. And instead of Karen like kind of to give her advice or, telling her it's going to be okay, I've got to be really honest with you. I've got to let you know what the girls are saying. What?
Yeah. Yeah. That was a bad pivot on Karen's.
Yeah, really bad. Really bad. Karen says, well, it's just like the general, because then she says, they say that you're boring. And Stacey seems surprised. She's like, well, who is saying this? And she's like, well, it's just the general consensus. When really it was just Mia.
It was just Mia.
Mia was the only one who said it.
Yep.
Karen's just being, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a good look for her.
No.
It's so interesting how these housewives can have such a good season and then such a bad season.
Yeah, it really is.
I don't think Karen, I think Karen, and listen, it's interesting that she and Shannon are both coming off of DUIs in their simultaneously playing seasons.
Yes.
And look at the difference. Like, Karen is not only not really acknowledging, and again, she can't say too much, but Shannon is being very humble about her situation. Karen is not being humble at all. Not only is she not being humble, she's like stirring shit up with everybody else.
Exactly.
like deflecting. Shannon is not doing that. Shannon's just like defending herself, really, because Tamara's the one who's doing that.
Yes.
But it's such a vast difference between the two of them
And
dealing with the same thing.
I think honestly, the reason that is because of the cast that surrounds them.
Yeah.
Because if Tamara wasn't coming for Shannon and Alexis wasn't on, it was just a firestorm for her.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to come for Karen besides Giselle?
Right. No, not one of them.
Right? Ashley
Ashley.
maybe, but
She's not strong enough, though.
Ashley's like, she's like a little cat. She's not like a
Yeah.
lion like
Right.
Giselle,
Yeah.
So then Stacey asks, who are you the closest with? And she says, I know that there was some sort of situation with Ashley. Feels like Ashley is the queen of the aftermath apology, but it's still in the courts.
Who said
So
that, Karen?
Karen said
Yeah.
that, but it's still in the courts. I honestly don't remember why that. I mean, Ashley and Karen were close at one time, but maybe since the DUI, they're no longer.
I think that a couple of seasons ago, Ashley positioned herself with Giselle.
With Giselle. Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that.
And then last year it was Karen, Candace, and Wendy.
Yes. So Ashley says, Mia, you posted for Mother's Day this beautiful photo of you and Gordon and Ink and the children. Was that here? Were you guys all together under the same roof? And she says, yeah. She said, Mia and Gordon are still married. And once again, Giselle and Karen jump in and they're like, I think it's too much for the children. I think it's confusing. Well, why don't you worry about your own children?
Exactly.
Who are they to judge that?
Exactly. Maybe it was confusing for your kids, Giselle, when they had their father, who you've been divorced from for years, showing up, spending the weekends with you. And then all of a sudden, Jason, who's 20 years younger than you, was coming and staying with you for the weekends. Maybe that was confusing for your kids.
Exactly.
Nobody said that to you. So mind your business.
Yeah. Especially considering all that Jamal has been involved in.
Right.
I mean, all the affairs, all the scandals,
Yeah.
I mean, craziness. Like, how is she throwing shade? I mean, G knows about it. It's not like she's doing it behind his back.
If anything, they're doing it all out in the like everything's out in the open, so there are no questions. So, hopefully they did sit them down and were like, "Listen, mommy and daddy aren't in love anymore. We're not going to be together anymore. Ink is part of mommy's life, and we're just going to try to do the best and all be together."
Right.
Done.
Right.
I mean, I can't imagine any of those conversations are easy.
No.
We know people who've gotten divorced, and I know how conversations have gone with their kids, and it's very sad, but they're being open and honest about it. And her kids seem good. Mia's kids seem good.
They do. And even Mia says, like, Gordon's moods and the way he behaves it varies. So sometimes he's really good with it and other times he's agitated.
Right.
And then they're asking questions about the medication. Well, like, does the medication fix it? Or, like once he's in a good place, is that mean? No, it's not. It's a fluid situation.
Right.
Some days are good, some
days are bad.
Right. This is a fluid situation and they're dealing with it as a family. And really, it's none of your business.
Exactly. Mind your business.
So then Stacey says that she has not been intimate with TJ because he is a devout Catholic. And Giselle announces that she has not been intimate with anyone for a year. And everyone seems very surprised about that.
Probably Jason was the last one, right?
I would think so. And, listen, her father did pass away.
Yeah.
Her girls are going off to college. She does have a lot going on in her life.
Yeah, she's got other things to focus on.
Right. Exactly. So, it's not surprising. And then Stacey asks, who in the group called me boring? And Mia said, well, I just said that you weren't that interesting. That's who it was. Mia's friend, Dom, is the one who put the whole celebration together there for them. Like,
is that the one that went out with she and Karen in DC?
No, that was Joy.
Joy.
That was Joy. That was Joy. So Giselle asks if she can talk before she leaves, and, because they said, yeah. She said, listen, I had an event. She pulls Karen aside to have this conversation. She talks to Karen. She's like, I had this event planned, and I feel like I've been trying to be the utmost friend to you, and I don't feel like I'm getting it back. I had this event planned. You knew about it. You knew it was for awareness for, my father, in honor of my father. Giselle says, I think that, in moving forward, like, you need to be straight with me. Like, we need to be there for each other. And I agree with Giselle. She's like, I think I've been there for you. And I do believe that Giselle has been trying, but that
Yes.
whole move that Karen pulled the day of the event, and, it was shady.
That was rough.
It
That
was
was
shady.
really rough.
And honestly, Karen didn't own any part of it, even during that conversation.
Not at all.
And
Not at all.
yeah, it was sad because I feel like, Giselle just said, okay, we're just going to move forward. We'll be honest with each other. But there was no resolution. There was no accountability. And
Nothing.
I think the more we see this season, we're going to see a lot of that, though, with Karen.
Yeah, and I think Giselle backs off completely.
Yeah. So then we meet Rachel, Ashley, and Joy, a different Ashley. And these are Mia's friends. And they, arrived to help celebrate Wendy's birthday. And Mia tells the girls to go around the table and introduce themselves and tell them a funny story about Mia. So one of her friends says the best funny story was ink licking her toes. What?
At like a dinner table, right?
I thought they were on vacation someplace.
Yeah.
It was at a dinner
On
table?
a yacht. On a yacht.
Yes. Oh, yes, it was on
I
a
think
boat.
she said they were at a table.
I don't know. I did not need to hear that. I really did not need to hear
behind
that.
closed doors, people. The licking of the toes.
And then Mia says the funniest story is that you guys don't know this, but Joy and myself and Karen went out in DC one night, and when you left, Karen, you butt dialed us, and you want to know what you said? And everyone's like, and Karen is just, no, what did I say? She had no idea. Karen said, no, what did I say? You said those girls think I'm out with Ray, and I'm not. Now
That was crazy.
that was a mic drop moment.
For sure.
And what surprised me about that is that, first of all, I thought Mia was good with Karen. So why are you throwing her under the bus like that?
I don't know. Well, probably because she keeps bringing up the fact that Mia's kids might not be okay, and Mia's not being a good mom, basically, with what she's doing. So maybe this was retaliation. And I don't blame her.
Listen, I don't blame her either, but
I really don't.
and maybe too because she had all those other girls there to support her. If she's ever gonna come down on Karen, I mean, that was the perfect place to do it.
Yeah, because Giselle and Ashley have been saying for years, ever since Sheree said old blue eyes.
Yeah, I wonder who it was. And you had said that you had heard something about that there was somebody else involved, right?
Yeah, no, you said it.
No, I said that the beer
You said they
cans,
found beer cans, and you
yes,
said Karen doesn't strike me as a beer drinker, and I said, wouldn't it
right.
be interesting if somebody was in the car with her?
Yeah. I do think that would definitely be in the police report, which is public information. So we probably would have known that,
Yeah.
right?
They can hide those, though. Who have we been talking about? Who are we talking about in the police?
Margaret.
Margaret and her
Right.
son.
Well, I think there's in certain terroristic threats or domestic situations, they can be
Yeah, because
sealed.
this would be like a state of, is it Delaware? Is Potomac in Delaware? No. Maryland?
Maryland.
Yeah. So it would be the state of Maryland versus Karen Huger. So that probably would be public record.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, like
I think,
Margaret's is something totally different.
right. Exactly. Because
Wow.
there was nobody else involved in the car accident. There was no other
No, there was no
cars.
other vehicle,
Right.
which is crazy.
I mean, thank God there was no other vehicle.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm curious to see how this whole thing plays out.
me too. Because that's where it ends, right?
That's where it ends. That's all we got. We got nothing else
So
after
we don't
that.
even see Karen's response yet.
No, but we see her face drop.
Yeah.
She's going to go off. She's just going to go off.
She is going to go off. That's going to be real interesting.
I'm looking forward to it, to be quite honest with you.
Me too. Because I want to know, like, has this guy really been around for this long? Has she been creeping on Ray for this long? Is this really true?
But
I
listen,
like Ray.
maybe Ray knows.
I'm sure Ray's well aware.
Like, maybe Ray's got his own side piece.
Yeah. Umad.
Right? Maybe.
I saw an upcoming scene for OC, which is starting to annoy me, people. With you with your previews and blind items and bullshit. But I did see a preview for tomorrow night's episode
Yes.
where they're at a party and Emily is confronting Katie about the story when Katie's
Her
daughter,
daughter.
Kylie, babysat the boys. And basically they're both saying like my kid didn't say that, is my kid lying or is your kid's lying? And but my point of bringing it up is that Heather completely hijacks the conversation. And poor Emily is like trying to get her point out, and Heather starts talking and totally hijacks it. And then Katie and Heather are talking, and poor Emily is still like trying to get out her thoughts, and she can't.
That's unfortunate.
I can't believe it. It's crazy.
That's unfortunate. Was it a clip from Hey You, Hayu?
I don't remember.
So I think I had mentioned this a couple weeks ago when I kept saying I was seeing these extended like clips and stuff, and I couldn't remember the name of who it was. And it's this Hayu. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, but I just found out this week it is it's owned by Peacock, NBC Universal. It's a streaming platform in Europe. So they're trying to, and remember I said it's probably from another country, like it gets released at different times.
Right.
So because that interview that I saw with Jessel was on that same platform where she was talking about, how the season, with the trip. So they have this other streaming platform that is in Europe. Maybe it's all over Europe, but I don't know. Why wouldn't you just use Peacock? I don't understand that.
I know.
I'm sure it's a money play. I'm sure there's money money reason involved with that.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. So, because I'd look at these things and I'm like, this is actual footage. Like, this is not like a bootleg. This is not and it's before we see it. So I bet you that's what you saw it on. Probably. I bet you it was streaming from that platform who puts these teasers out.
Yeah.
And they're long teasers.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a pretty long clip. Because Heather and Katie are talking to each other. And I think somebody else was standing there not saying anything. But fucking Heather, man, totally hijacks the conversation. I'm like, and Emily's still trying to get her point out, and she just can't.
It's unfortunate.
But I will say this, Katie is not backing down from Heather at all. And good for you. Maybe that's why Jen and Katie are such a dynamic duo, because they are really speaking up for themselves.
Yeah, and good for them. Like, let's switch it up a little bit.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Because Heather will just leave the show.
Right. She doesn't need it.
Heather doesn't feel like she's Queen Bee. She's just going to leave the show. And that's fine. She doesn't need it. I think she likes a camera in her face, and this is the only chance she's getting for it. But
she definitely likes a camera in her face.
Yeah. But Tamara will not fare well if she's not on the show.
I tried to listen to her podcast today, her and Teddy. I don't even remember what they're talking about. I just really have a hard time listening to her podcast anymore. I just can't do it.
Yeah, because did you see she came out and was like complaining about all the hate she's getting online?
Yeah. She was talking about that on her podcast.
Yeah, like, sorry, Tamara, but you're part of that hate for other people.
Yeah, she's like, Teddy said, maybe you should go on Potomac. Maybe you'd be better liked on Potomac. I'm like, no.
No, people don't like you because of what you're doing, not because of where you live.
I don't know. I don't know how much longer she's going to last on this show. I really don't.
I don't think they're bringing her back.
I'd be very surprised.
I would
be very
too.
Surprised.
Because again, I don't, she doesn't have what Teresa has. She doesn't have people blindly defending her all the time. She doesn't have it. And I really think that because people have been calling for Teresa to be fired for years, but she's got such a fan base that they won't do it, which that's okay. I get that. Tamara doesn't have it.
It's interesting because I had said that, and someone in one of our comments said, no, I still like Tamara, because I said I haven't seen a single. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I knew it was you who commented, but you were like, you're the first person who's said, yeah.
And even Tamara was saying that she's not getting that much hate. There are people that still like her. That's what she was saying. I was like,
She
yeah.
said that the hate is 3% of the fans, and that is bad math, Tamara.
Yeah.
You might have 3% of the people saying they want you back and you're doing a good job. And
Yeah.
97% are saying you should go.
I also saw, I'm sure you saw this, that Teresa turned down Deadpool,
Commercial.
The commercial, because Melissa had already signed on to it.
Yeah.
Who does that? I mean, talk about cutting off your nose to spite your
She
face.
probably thought if she said no, they would have fired Melissa and hired her. Like, she probably gave them an ultimatum and said, I'll do it, but I'm not doing it with Melissa. And they were like, okay.
I mean,
Teresa does not understand that Melissa is just as big of a reality TV. But by the way, ladies, you're reality TV stars. Let's not get this twisted, which is commendable in its own right. But you are reality TV stars, and Melissa is just as big of a reality TV star as you are now.
yeah.
It wasn't always like that, but it is now. And quite honestly, you constantly talking about her and trash talking her is making her an even bigger star. That's my personal opinion.
She does still have those loyal followers. She does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But Melissa has just as many, I feel like.
No, I agree. I mean, they both have very loyal followers.
Yeah.
They really do. They really do.
I don't think you can say one is bigger than the other right now.
I don't know. I feel like it's like the election. Who's gonna win?
It
You
is
know what I'm
probably like
saying?
the election. Yeah. Did you see that on Teresa's podcast? She's blaming Margaret for the demise of the show.
Of course. Why would she own anything? I mean,
I can't believe she's still talking about Margaret.
right. Right.
And she's saying that Margaret sabotaged Danielle Staub's marriage to Marty.
Yeah, okay. That's crazy town.
Seriously, she's got to stop talking about them. They don't talk about her.
No, they don't.
They just don't.
No, they don't. They
We
don't need
listen to
to.
the podcasts.
No, they
They
don't.
don't need to. That's the point. See, I think Teresa thinks she's doing something by trash talking them, and what she's doing is the opposite of what she's intending on doing.
I agree with that. Did you listen to Vinny Guadagnino's podcast?
Not this week.
So he went to MSG, the Trump rally at MSG, and he was talking about it. You know, I've only seen clips of it. I really haven't seen it, but he was talking about, the reason he went is he loved the lineup. You know, Tucker Carlson, Dana White, Elon Musk, like all the speakers that were there. Not so much that dumb comedian, but all the speakers.
Who's this comedian?
I don't know.
And are they the ones that said something insulting about Puerto Rico?
Yes, it was the comedian. It was a
I
comedian.
have a friend I graduated high school with, and he's half Puerto Rican, and he's a huge Trump supporter. And he went on Facebook and was basically like, people, it was a fucking joke. I'm half Puerto Rican. Like, get over it.
Right. And I saw many Puerto Rican people that were there saying the same thing. Like, it was a joke.
I don't know who the comedian is, and I don't know what the joke was.
I don't know. So the comedian said, there's this like island full of garbage, like in the middle of the ocean. It's called Puerto Rico. And the woman that I saw on TikTok who was there defending it, she's like, there is a garbage issue in Puerto Rico. My family lives there. She's like, I kind of thought it was funny. It was appropriate. Like, there is an issue with sanitation there. They don't have a place to put it, and it's all over the place.
Oh, that's terrible.
It was a joke, though.
But it's a comedian making a joke. So
that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
He made a joke about a terrible situation, and that is what comedians do.
But I thought it was interesting because Vinny actually in his podcast, he was breaking down like everybody he's voted for. He's like, I'm a registered independent. He's like, I voted for Hillary. I voted for Barack Obama. I'm voting for Trump. He told us every single person he's ever voted for. He's like, he goes, it's not about the party. It's about what's going to happen. It's not about the party. And it's a good podcast. I recommend that you listen to it.
I'll listen to it.
I recommend that our listeners listen to it too. I like Vinny. You know what? He's honest and he's a smart guy. I didn't realize he was a political science major. That's what he went to school for.
He's very, very smart, and he reads a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm the same way. I'm not registered as any, and I voted Democrat and I voted Republican. Eric's the same way. We're not one party. We just vote for who we think will do the best job.
Yeah. And then who was saying today? So Lala was saying today on Lala's podcast, she's never said and never will say who she votes for. She will never
Good for
tell
her.
anybody. And I was like, that's good too. Like,
Absolutely.
it's your right. If you want to tell, you tell. If you don't want to tell, you don't have to tell.
And nobody should ask you. And if they ask you and you don't want to say, don't say.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Like no one should ever ask a woman their age or their weight.
That's right.
Or if you're changing it to something else before you go out, don't ask someone if those are your real teeth. These are real things that have been said. I'm not going to mention who's asked these questions. Don't.
Or you're going to have to tell me after who the teeth one was meant for, but
don't ask someone how much was your car? What did you pay for your house? How much was this? Don't ask these questions.
We don't discuss finances.
Don't ask who you're voting for.
Yeah, it's nobody's business. Good for Lala.
It's nobody's business. Yeah, it's nobody's business.
I was wondering why. I saw one of Vinny's posts on Instagram. I guess somebody sent him like a nasty message about. I did not realize that he openly admitted that he was voting for Trump.
He did.
Somebody sent him like a really nasty message, and he put it on his Instagram, and he was dancing to it or something.
So I saw the dancing, like he was like the Beyonce. It was like dancing to a Beyonce song. Yes. Because, Beyonce endorsed Kamala. So I mean, this is why I like Vinny. This is why,
absolutely.
I like people who can be real. I like people who can joke about things. You know what? Not everything needs to be so serious all the time.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Everything doesn't need to be political. We can have two different opinions on something and still be civilized and still be okay.
And here's your PSA.
Oh, for today. Great. What's our PSA for today?
No matter what the outcome of the election is, let's all be mature adults, accept it, and move on.
Exactly. But by the way, if you say you're going to leave the country, if somebody wins and they win, then leave the country.
Yeah.
That's another PSA.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Right?
And I know people on both sides who are saying they'll leave the country if this one wins or that one wins. Yeah, absolutely.
Go leave. Leave.
Yep. Peace out.
And who's going to miss you? Right. Nobody.
No.
Nobody. Go.
Certainly not either one of the candidates, because they don't give a shit about any of us, by the way. Neither one of them do.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't think politicians really have our best interests at heart, but if somebody can prove me wrong, prove me wrong. That's why I don't claim to be one party or the other, and I just vote for whoever I think is going to do the best job. Right. They don't know me. They don't care about me or my struggles. So
Right.
But really, people, let's not have a revolt if one side wins or the other.
Please, let's not.
It is what it is. We'll just accept it and move on wherever.
Yeah, like we've done every other time, right?
For hundreds of years.
Yeah, let's just keep moving. Keep moving. Just keep swimming.
Just thinking that in my head as you said it. All right.
So I think that's it. I was going to ask our listeners if they have questions for us, if they could email us questions, and maybe we can answer questions next time.
That'd be great.
Yeah, you can email us at wewinewhenever@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions, we'll, read your question and we'll answer them.
Or DM on Instagram.
Yep, or you can DM us on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Or we are also on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. We're not on Twitter, though, so do not try and get us on Twitter.
We're not on the X.
We can't, the X. We haven't really, that's not our thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're Gen X, but we don't X.
That's right. It's too much. It's too much with the social media.
It really is. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.